Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The European swing continues midway through Racecraft Rallycross in 2023. We head to the Spanish coast to continue the championship swing. Hello everyone and welcome along. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Delighted to be joined alongside in the Racecraft TV Rallycross booth today by the one, the only Lewis McLeod. Lewis, we love a bit of dirt racing action, although don't know how much you really know about it.
I mean, I've done my fair share of Rallycross in the world of sim racing.
Done your fair share of crashing.
That's true. I mean, typically, when I get involved with any sort of rallycross racing, normally it ends up on its roof very, very quickly. And that's why I don't drive in these and we just talk about them. Genuinely, this is the first time I've commentated on some rallycross in sim racing. So it's exciting times. You have to really drag me through this one, Arjuna.
You've been accused of being too shouty on occasion. You're going to get plenty of shouting today.
From you?
Well, I guess you too, potentially.
Yeah, maybe. I am very, very shouty. Yeah, no, Barcelona, I mean, it's a good track. To be fair, it is actually one that I've driven a fair amount in rallycross stuff outside of iRacing. I actually quite like it.
Yeah.
I actually quite like it. It's good. It's a bit of banter, mate.
We'll talk about the layout in a second. Let's talk about the schedule because we're winding down, of course. We'll get a trip over to what might actually be the worst track in all of IRX. Lucas Oil in the IRP, of course. Charlotte, Sonoma, after a couple of weeks off, are going to play host to our championship showdown rounds effectively. In terms of RX2 points, well, I guess we can quickly talk about that as well and how we build them up because those drivers qualifying. Two-part day today again. Remember, RX2 precedes RX1 competition. And it's always exciting with the double pot activities. Here's a look at where we're going racing today in the real world layout, albeit with the start-finish line slightly misplaced from where it would be in the real world, and that's usually where the drivers tend to complain a little bit. Dirt and tarmac interleaved with one another, and Lewis, it gets very tight and twisty through places.
Yeah, the wibbly wobbly bits all over the place. You know, that sort of 2, 3, 4 sections you're coming around on the tarmac into some dirt. 6 and 7 also kind of involved with a bit of dirt, a bit of a jump in there as well. Like I say, it's as is with most rallycross circuits, certainly the ones that are classified as being the better rallycross circuits, there is typically that natural dynamic between going from the tarmac onto dirt and making the absolute most of that. It's going to be fun. I'm still looking forward to some decent racing there.
Starts are always interesting as well, and you can't joker on the opening lap. We found out that some drivers didn't know that in the RX All-Star Series. Points build up and accumulate through the course of the event. Starts in qualifying, so important to get some good grid position for the heats where you can not only get maximum points but advance your way directly to the feature where, of course, maximum points will end up being played out with 2 drop weeks already in effect, 6 rounds being played out. 1 point splits Dylan Baldwin and Kane Lasky right now, but Istvan Tits, Sean Winkler keeping themselves in contention. In Rallycross, Lewis is ultimately not always about winning, but for Kane Lasky, winning multiple times this season has been of benefit.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those formats where you really just want to stay out of danger, which sounds, you know, in most kinds of racing, just stay out of danger sounds easy. In this, absolutely not. Staying out of danger in Rallycross at the best of times is hard work, but in this style, different level, absolutely different level. To have that consistency, that raw ability to constantly be at the front, to constantly be out of danger, it is very difficult.
So here we go with a look at the race analysis, 5-lap heats. Let's dive into the starting grid for heat number 1 because they're already taking to the short blast before they get underway. Evan McFarlane with pole position as Kane Lasky alongside Whitner Tits behind them. Broberg and Kirtley, row number 3 with Keenan Kusin, winner 7 days ago, back in 7th spot with Matthew Morris, Rene Wegner, Cody Winicki, Owen Anderson, Paul Miko Elijah through the 12 cars. Got a stacked heat grid, of course, getting ready. Just 2 heats that will roll, and of course we'll have 2 drivers that advance from each of them into the feature. We'll then cycle the rest of the drivers into the last chance qualifiers and grid up the rest for a 10-lap main event. Ready to go though on the Spanish coast for Racecraft Rallycross RX2. Good start from the inside and onto the brakes. Broberg tries to work his way on through. They do play a bit of ping pong. A car goes up and over, so we can add one onto the flip counter, but onto the dirt. McFarlane will lead with Broberg in second and Lasky tucked in behind. Yeah, that was absolutely mad. I think it was Wegner that was way too deep going into the first corner, completely miscalculating the race start, but wild scenes. I mean, that's classic Rallycross if ever I've seen it. A car flipping down into T1. I mean, it is also the older sort of a start that you'd have here at Barcelona, the updated layout that they have in the real world, a little bit more flowing of a corner. We've got a heavy braking zone, and it always invites a little bit of chaos, especially when you're 3 and 4 wide. Bit of a mistake from McFarlane as they get ready to snatch their way onto the handbrake and back onto the tarmac as we ride on board with Keenan Kusin.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes and stuff going through this hairpin as expected. Was that McFarlane? Yeah, it was.
And now he's going to rejoin, but all the way back in 7th spot. So give Lasky the lead, who, of course, started back in 2nd spot and swarmed on the race start initially through all of that. And at the end of, technically, lap number 1, Broberg will peel off to the slightly longer Joker, will give him a little bit more speed as he wraps his way back into the opening sector and onto the brakes.
Yeah, I think Matthew Morris also went down the Joker as well, so ticking him off, getting him out of the way early, not too bad to like I say, to get it out of the way at this point of the race. You know, kind of when you've got a little bit of clean air ahead, get down in there, especially seeing some of the drama that's been happening right at the start. But it does mean that Lasky leads with not too many laps. I'd suspect that you're going to want to take the Joker earlier rather than later, right?
Well, yes, because you gain the momentum, right, of coming all the way back on through. So typically you want to try and take it before the final lap, but not everyone tends to get the memo. No Dylan Baldwin today, by the way, so this would be one of his drop rounds in the championship, and it means the driver that won our season opener still yet to get back into victory lane since then. Istvan Tits won at Knock Hill, Lasky, Daytona, and Atlanta. Broberg at Iowa after he said he'd been competing in Rallycross for 7 days. And then Keenan Kusin at Brands Hatch. 7 days of Rallycross experience and came and won. Not bad.
Yeah. Oh, got Rene Wegner on the screen there, going for a bit too much of a slide, losing a lot of time going through the hairpin. That was the driver that got really involved with this driver, Eric Whitner, going into that turn 1. I think it was Whitner was the one that rolled over in turn 1, courtesy of the 77 getting straight into it. Are there penalties, or is this proper full-on Rallycross bans?
Just like in IRX, it's post-race penalties, unfortunately, because iRacing a little bit limited with that. So you can try stuff, it doesn't mean you won't have something to deal with afterwards. Keenan Kusin going to show us the overspeed, but boxed out slightly by McFarlane, who is actually yet to Joker. So Kusin going to now get checked up behind the 04.
Didn't see what happened to McFarlane, of course, in the hairpin. I don't know whether it was a solo mistake or something. It's not really the place where you typically expect to see cars spinning, which obviously, you'd be like, well, it's a hairpin. But with it being, four-wheel drive, you typically have that drive off. What I'm going to assume happened was a potentially too much of a slide going into this hairpin, because McFarlane had that issue, and then potentially being spun around courtesy of someone getting into the rear end. from the speed differential going into there, but that's normally what I would expect to happen if there is a car backwards in that hairpin.
Oh, Matthew Morris is going to hit the tires on the inside as he funnels in over the jump. Impressive VR racing setup. He's got a couple of wheels mounted on the wall behind him. I think they're meant to be mounted on the rig, potentially. Lasky, though, and Tits have already taken to the Joker, and we're on the final lap of this race, 5-lap heats, and these are lengthy laps, although not as lengthy as Brands Hatch, which is definitely going to be the longest of our tracks this season. Front of the field, though, Lasky looking for a third victory this season will bring Esteban Tits forward with him to the feature. Sebastian Broberg and company. Last chance qualifiers looking for them to get their way on forward. But Heat One in the books here in Barcelona to start off the evening's festivities. McFarlane, after starting at the front, is going to be scored down in 6th position. He's going to be slightly frustrated.
Yeah, and I don't blame McFarlane that much. I mean, when you've got the pace, when you've got the understanding, and it doesn't quite tick off. I mean, that's rallycross, though, isn't it? You know, it's kind of one of those things that you see in various forms of motorsport, but rallycross more so than ever. Just because you're the fastest car on the track does not mean you're going to come out on top.
So there's the confirmation. 2 Subarus at the front, 2 Fords behind, and at least we get a bit of variation here in RX2 because it's going to be all the Scoobies in RX1. Rest of the drivers, of course, through to the LCQs. Heat 2 getting ready to go, and remember, just 2 heats tonight, so only 4 drivers confirmed in the feature once we get our way into the first of the last chance qualifiers. Ziegler, Grady on the front row with Howell and Honka on the second row. Winkler and Shell line up alongside one another, while behind them it's going to be Nathan Brown and Zach Mitchell, Greg Johnson, Jurgen Malucha, Eric Dubois, and Kenny Hoffman. The 12 cars getting ready to tango once again. You can see they're fanned out 2 by 2 and getting ready to be thrown down into a heavy braking zone at turn number 1. He'll get the best launch for heat number 2. Away they go. Brown in the Beetle not really firing off and making advantage of that inside spot, but from the front, it's going to be Grady and Ziegler, the battle for a moment, but the Legion Speed Sports car will tuck back into line as they slide onto the dirt and fly their way through the right. That tightens up and narrows up into the jump, and single file they'll all go as they fly their way into the Joker section.
Yeah, you can see a couple of different lines going in there into the dirt. It was Howell that was out a little bit wide. Oh, there's been a spinner as well that was right in front of Howell that I was seeing there. Not sure which one it was that went round.
I think it's Sean Winkler in the 720. Yeah. Well, he's done a 720 there and trying to get back around. Almost takes Kenny Hoffman with him for good measure. Ziegler, Grady starting to break away as a result of that, with Howell now checked up behind. Remember, top 2 transfer. These 2 really don't need to squabble too much.
Yeah, and they've pulled out a massive margin over those behind, courtesy of the issues into the hairpin. And so you're absolutely right. You go play the long game in this. You're not focused on necessarily winning here and now. You're focused on getting through, and not having to go into the last chance qualifier and just moving straight through into the final. Ziegler and Grady having that advantage. I would suggest they're at the point where it's sort of like, don't joker too early, right? Because if you do joke, obviously you're going to be thrown back into it. Thrown back into the back, and that's where the issues can kind of rise. That's if you don't want to leave it too late, because then you lose that advantage in the massive speed differential you have on the rejoin from the Joker. I am told on my on the spreadsheet over here it's only 0.8 of a second.
Oh, is it?
I'm joking.
Okay.
It's just because I randomly put it in earlier.
Oh, you got me scared for a second there, because I had no idea what the Joker was. Did see on board with Tom Grady. Doggo behind him, not distracting him, which is great to see. Winkler fights now with Dubois, Mitchell as well, all cycling their way on through, and Winkler's going to slide his way almost alongside, but not going to get the move done initially. Winkler yet to Joker. Mitchell has just in front of him, and while Dubois peels off to the right-hand side by side, as iRacing World of Outlaws late model champion Tyler Shell grabs 9.
That was a big old send down the inside of Kenny Hoff. That was a massive, good effort, by the way, got to be said. A couple of drivers also coming down. Howell's been down into the Joker, so tick that one off again, giving a little bit more space for Ziegler. Oh my goodness me, right ahead of Sean Winkler. That was a bit of contact coming through. Mitchell out wide. This looks like it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, Rallycross does tend to sometimes become a bit of a brawl, although it only happens at the LCQs. Bit of contact there, but it's not going to be too much of a big drama there. Not sure if Winkler will take the Joker this time by, because they're coming to the final lap of the race. White flag in hand next time by. Front of the field, still Ziegler leading, but now by 2.5 seconds. He's built up a great margin, and just look at the control back onto the tarmac.
Yeah, probably going to see them, both Ziegler and Grady, Joker this lap. Would make more sense for them to do so. So again, they carried that speed out through T1 and ran that long left-hander towards 2 in that wiggly section. See if they come through. There's no advantage to them leaving it later, but they are just going to leave it. Fair enough.
I guess they've got enough.
Shows what I know.
I guess they've got enough of a gap. So one thing to note is, some people know you can drive through the gantry that sits on the start-finish line here. Yes, you can, which is why everything is so bad about this track. But you're not allowed to do that here in Racecraft RX because again, we got race control after all.
That is hilarious. I had no idea. I had absolutely. I mean, I get it, but also, you know, it would be.
It's esports, isn't it? Well, you'll never guess who found it first.
You.
The Apex Racing team.
Oh, of course they did.
It was fantastic. It was amazing. Ziegler will take to the Joker this time by. Grady took it last time. Not going to be much of an impact here. Legion Speed Sport car more concerned about the fact that Andrew Howell had closed behind, but the 57 and the 535 out of heat number 2 find their way into the feature race at Barcelona for Racecraft RX2. Behind them, a whole handful of drivers getting ready to try and survive one final scramble around Barcelona. Handful of drivers indeed taking to the Joker on the final lap, which does make me question. One thing that we did see with Keenan Kusen's attempt at a Joker, though, was that if you get boxed up behind, it's hard to convert the momentum into an opportunity to overtake. And so as we take a look at the race results, Lewis, that's maybe something we need to factor in.
Yeah, indeed. You can see there Ziegler and Grady at the top, which is kind of, like I say, they've kind of already made that in the first lap. It was kind of it was the drama behind, but yeah, each their own.
So there's going to be 4 that advance out of these LCQs, and so that means 10 enter. Plenty left to play for. Broberg, Wegner, Kusen, McFarlane, Kirtley, Miko Lijic, Morris, Whitner, Winicki, and Anderson. Those are the cars that are getting ready to go, as it will be the Ford Fiesta of Sebastian Broberg, that purple machine that got off the line so well in his heat, that will lead us in towards turn number 1. Ready to go once more. Broberg with a great start, but Keenan Kusen's going to drop the hammer and have to watch in his rearview mirrors and watch on his outside line as well. It will be Broberg that leads from Wegner and Kusen 1, 2, and 3. No drama at the start of this one.
Wegner once again late on the brakes and causing the drama behind. There's a couple of snaps from those to a rear, and it is a big old pile up. And once again, McFarlane's in it.
That's a parking lot, and poor McFarlane put it on pole position, and he's going to be done and dusted, even though the fact that, again, 4 advanced out of this, straight to the replay machine will go, and I guess we'll find out if we get to add 1 to the flip counter. I don't think we're going to get to. No,
watch that. The thing is, again, it was nearly. It was Wegner that ran wide and then kind of came back in. That was what kind of caused the real kerfuffle in there. We're going to call it a kerfuffle. It's definitely counts one. I say a few drivers that might be a little bit irritated in there.
That was a Fiesta that tagged the inside wall and almost spun itself around. Miko Lijic not able to take advantage of Kirtley's mistake. If you're wondering what the coke is in the background, by the way, this is how did he describe himself in his note to our producer? Paul Miko Lijic presented by J-Bob, that's Jacob Rafoss, coke addiction. So there's plenty of coke in the background there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him.
We did confirm, by the way, those are actually opened cokes as well.
Yeah, we took a good close look also around. This is the thing, sorry to all drivers, but if you give us a webcam feed, we are going to go into far too deep of an analysis on basically everything about your life. Typically, if there's a bed in the background, normally if it's made or not. That's the big one. Tick. Get that one done. See if you're an organised. I mean, as well, why do you think I'd never race with a webcam?
Oh, that's not ideal for Whitner, I would assume, because McFarlane squeaks on through. He was one that got mixed up at the early stages as well. And that's a bit of a slide job. Not sure that's going to work for him, as McFarlane with the up and under back in front.
I think McFarlane did anything to Whitner there, because that seemed like an outrageous send, and that was a little bit too much. Oh, he'd already done the Joker. I was like, mate, if that was his Joker, I mean, perfect, but no.
Attempted Joker there by Morris, but I don't think he gets up and under McFarlane. Yeah, based on that, I get the feeling that there may have been something, because that was a bit of a slide.
Yeah, there are quite a few people I've noticed with VR in this, is that normal with
in dirt racing, yeah. Cam
Really?
Peterson, who raced in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series, who did need better internet, unfortunately, he's got VR and motion.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't feel sick enough. Goodness me.
Apparently, those races are short, just like these, to be fair.
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess this is the thing, is that you don't typically see VR and stuff in endurance racing for the main reason of, like, let's be honest, a headset, VR headset, they weigh a fair amount and they're damn hot.
Uncomfortable, yes.
And so over a longer period. Was that
Inside
Wegner?
for Wegner, who tried to get alongside Kusin, and Kusin, I think, not too disturbed about that one, because Wegner really only impacted himself, because now Kirtley's got an opportunity to steal that fourth and final transfer spot away.
I see. This is the thing, is that part of me deep down is just like getting angry about like people missing their braking zones and slamming into people, and then I'm like, it's Rallycross, mate.
It's Rallycross.
Just breathe. Just breathe. I can't help it. Sometimes. Close to the rejoins as they come out of the Joker of the final lap of the race.
An important one for Kusin there to get in front. Wegner, Kirtley still okay because Miko Lijic slips back to 5th position. LCQs, I mean, you say that you don't want to get angry. If this is mixed martial arts, I've always described the Off-Road Championship as kind of like a bare-knuckle brawl. Flip counter very much needed in that World Championship.
Yeah, too right.
Yeah. Front of the field, Broberg will cycle his way on forward as he searches for more luck than last week when he was dead last at Brands Hatch in the feature race. He'll bring with him the winner at Brands Hatch, Wegner as well, Kirtley. 4 drivers that will all advance. Miko Lijic slipping backwards to 8th on the final lap, so not sure if any drama has befallen the man powered by the coke addiction, but clearly the first of the last chance qualifiers. Plenty of physical throws and sends being attempted. We'll get a confirmation of the race results, and then we'll focus up on sending 4 more drivers over to the feature. It's the Fiesta for Broberg, the Subaru for Kusin, and the 2 more Fiestas for Wegner and Kirtley that advance. We say goodbye to Winnicki and the rest. Just giving them a few moments all getting to get finished up before we can show you the grid for the second 10-man LCQ showdown, where Andrew Howell will be leading us to the green in the 666 alongside Ollie Honka. Nathan Brown and Zach Mitchell line up behind, with Winkler hoping not to do some 720s alongside Jurgen Malucha, Tyler Schell, Kenny Hoffman, Eric Dubois, and Greg Johnson through the 10. Once again, they're lined up and ready to go and focused on the lights, with 4 spots in the main event on the line. The wheels were spinning early, but getting the best launch was Honka initially. Around the outside, can Andrew Howell find his way up to second? Zach Mitchell find his way up to second, as Andrew Howell finds his way to the lead and leads them back onto the dirt. Once again, a tidy start, but bumper cars for the moment.
Yeah, horrendous start from Nathan Brown, dropping right back towards, I think, 6th, 7th position potentially in this. Just an awful transitional start after starting from 3rd from that 2nd row. But that is how Rallycross goes, as we can see those up towards the front. Decent start from Zach Mitchell, working his way through the mid-pack in 2nd at the moment. But it is a really good start from Howell, who's starting to clear away from those ahead as they start clipping that curve and almost spin around.
It's a good thing these tyre barriers don't move anymore. That's a C up for Mitchell, unfortunately, and as he rejoins, maybe some chaos as a couple of cars get checked up behind that tyre bundle. But now the 4 that would advance would be Howell, Honka, Winkler, and Schell. Here's a look at the replay and how it happened. Yeah, let's just see, was it too much curb there? Yeah, too much rotation. Then getting on the grass as well, going for a bit of a spin. And to be fair, did absolutely nothing wrong there. Did Zach Mitchell, was patient, and then obviously, but yeah, target fixation for those coming through. And where are they going? Straight into the car that's stationary. So Howell is jokered, by the way, so he's out behind Honka. No one else has taken to that slightly longer lap of the final sector. There is the 666 machine lurking menacingly behind the 74 that maybe got the best
more smoke.
Initial launch. Smoke is normal. That's one of the few corners where people tend to lock up the handbrake.
I just thought it kind of felt that it was more of a spin. Okay. I don't know. It might just be my eye. Again, road course racing. It's like, oh, smoke. That's a bad thing.
Well, it's because it's that transition where you go from dirt then to tarmac, and then you still haven't turned enough. So a lot of the times people will joint the handbrake to lock up the rears and spin it around. There's only 2 corners where realistically we see the handbrake being used. That and the donk slide at Atlanta. Outside of that, you try not to use it.
It's one thing that I remember from all of my days watching World Rallycross is all the smoke coming off of the tyres going into the... Oh, wait, hang on a second. Anyway, moving on.
I think remember, these are GRC spec tyres, which are
that
not
is
good.
true.
I'm not allowed to say how bad they are without getting in trouble.
That is true. But even then, back watching GRX and stuff, like,
those were some pretty interesting tracks, if we could
They were. I still... I mean, a few pretty decent ones in there.
There were.
I never like. Where did they went to? Was it Texas? Which was one of the other ovals they went to.
I still think one of the fun ones, the most fun American dirt rallycross events, has been X Games. Mainly when Colin McRae flipped his car and still almost won, but you know.
Well, yeah, Batman did Loeb win?
He did win one, yeah, because Block had a puncture. I think if Block hadn't had a puncture, Block would have won.
I still remember. I was never a massive fan of Ken Block, but there was one WRX round that he had at Hockenheim, and it just remembering a puncture. Ooh.
That's a mistake for Ollie Honka, and now he's going to forcibly take to the Joker behind a couple more cars. Where does he come out relative to Zach Mitchell in 5th position? Clear for now.
Yeah, that was a scary mistake, but thankfully not too bad. But yeah, he got through with a punch. That was the story. Anyway, final lap of the race, final few corners to tick off, and looking pretty comfortable at the moment for Howell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty comfortable was an understatement.
Started to build a bit of an advantage at the start of the race, and from there never looked back. Still waiting for Nathan Brown to joker, but he should still be good to advance, all things considered, given the gaps behind. Bit of a calm LCQ2. Relative to some of what we've seen so far this season. The 666 of Andrew Howell finds his way forward along with Sean Winkler, Nathan Brown and Ollie Honka, although those two close at the line. I think Brown technically will have it by a quarter of a second.
Yeah,
maybe not that close.
Yeah, I mean, it's still tight margins. Oh, see ya!
Can we add one to the flip counter? Technically, he didn't go all the way over.
Yeah, I mean, it's a half. It's a half flip. It's a half. Okay. There we go.
Can we do 1.5?
I think that we deserve a 1.5. Although to be fair, we had almost a half one, so it would almost be like 1.75. Just trying to make me feel good. Because McFarlane had a little bit of a up onto 2 thing. There you go. Perfect.
We're trying to make our producer's life as difficult as possible. So thank you, Ryan Bauer, for bearing with us. That flip counter, a great addition. It's great just being able to shout. Perfect. Add 1 to the flip counter.
Perfect. Oh,
so we get 2 minutes or so of a warm-up session, and one thing to remember, Lewis, is the fact that the track evolves, but it doesn't get reset. So as it slicks out, one thing that we do tend to see here on iRacing is the Subaru, with its longer wheelbase, I tend to get a bit stronger, but in fixed setup competition, it's not like you can have a setup that, or at least that you can design to be fast on the fresh dirt and then on the worn dirt.
Have you driven all of the Rallycross cars?
Not much, but yes, I think I like the Subaru the most. Just because my dad had a 2004 Subaru STI in black, and I have fond memories of it.
See, I mean, I do like the Subaru. I do really enjoy it. I lean more towards the Ford, but you know.
Okay, fair enough.
When it comes to pace and stuff, the Subaru, I'm always faster in the Subaru than I am in the Ford. I never pick the Beetle because I mean,
it's free content. Everyone has the Beetle. No one wants to try that.
Yeah, why would you?
Before you get in trouble with everyone at Racecraft Rallycross for not being a fan of Ken Block, didn't he do the voiceover? Did he do the voiceover for Ken Block going to Audi?
I did actually.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, I did that voiceover. Yeah, that got a few views. Look, the thing is that I was never a fan of Ken Block when he was in Rallycross.
WRC. Oh, okay, interesting.
But in World Rallycross and stuff. But you know, as time went on, yeah. I mean, you got to respect the guy. You know, he was an incredible talent.
That's for sure. He had his own car culture. I think that's the way that I like to talk about him. But I still remember Dirt 2. That was my first introduction to him.
Yeah, no, to be fair, that was pretty sick.
One of the best games. Dirt 2 and Dirt 3. Golden era of dirt racing games. I'm trying to think of what else has been really good, like casual games, because of course you got Richard Burns Rally, which some still play.
Oh, it's definitely not casual though.
It's not casual. No. That's an experience.
Super serious, super serious. I've been trying to almost dragged back into playing Richard Burns Rally, courtesy of like Don Blyer and that lot. They're like, no, you gotta come along. I'm like, oh god, I don't think I can.
Well, let's get ready to go then for 10 laps here at Barcelona. Kane Lasky, searching for a third victory of the season, has been watching on since heat number 1. He's got Jared Ziegler alongside his Staventitz and Tom Grady line up on row 2 with Sebastian Broberg and Andrew Howell lining up on row number 3. The first of those working forward from the LCQs. Kusen, Winkler, Wegner, Brown. That's the rest of the top 10 with Kirtley and Honka through the 12 cars getting ready to do battle. Remember, these drivers get 8 incident points. They get a little bit more leeway to get away with bumper cars and contact. Rallycross is a physical sport. Turn number 1, a tight braking zone here at Barcelona, ready for RX2. It's a good start from Broberg again as he'll find his way to the inside. Lasky gets tipped, but can they tiptoe their way on through safely? Lasky does emerge with the lead with Ziegler behind him.
Oh my goodness.
Add many to our flip counter.
I'm going to go, I think we need to add maybe 3 on for that. That was mega. I think it was just a little bit of a hip check between the two of them. And then over. Check this out coming down into what was effectively the third corner of the race. See ya. 1, 2, 3. 3. I was right. Oh, or not.
4.
So
Tom Grady, fortunately, not in VR for that one because that would have been pretty hellacious. But yeah, it was Broberg with a monster of a start once again. He's just figured something out with dropping that clutch and going. Remember, they can't take the Joker on their first pass through the start-finish line because they technically haven't started the lap. 4.75 off flip counter.
I've just saw Jared Ziegler's just got into the barrier, basically where they start the race, getting into the barrier there, and it's actually slowed down quite a lot of the train behind, including the likes of Howell and such as that. So there's been a bit of drama in that train as they come down, and some ticking off the Joker straight away.
Andrew Howell, I think that was, who got the overspeed. Yes, it was in that 666. Just wait for it to update as they come across the line, onto the brakes, and back onto the dirt they go. So Howell's taken a slight lap penalty. It's 4.4 seconds his margin to the lead. So he's really going to now have to hustle because Keenan Kusen, you can see the space just in front of him. Up to Ziegler, who after that mistake has now got a bit of breathing room once again. Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that after the issue from Ziegler, has the breathing room, has the focus, doesn't have the pressure behind it, is focused on moving forward, trying to catch down the gap to Kane Lasky, and is certainly closing down at this point, although I say that as they've just completed a lap, with half a second difference swing towards the 29. So Lasky's in a pretty healthy position at the moment in this race. Obviously will not Joker for a while, again trying to maintain that gap and not doesn't want to get back involved with the mid-pack again.
Ziegler a little bit wild again through that section. He's dropped back from Lasky once more as we jump back on board with our winner back at Brands Hatch. Could see plenty of emotion on the face as he came across the line, but it's cool, calm, collected focus once again behind the wheel, not even halfway through the main event.
It's kind of one of those things, like you'll see the wheel inputs being relatively smooth. It's one thing with Rallycross, everyone kind of seems to think that it's all crazy and wild and all over the place, and that's not necessarily true. You want to be butter smooth. Like when it comes to those corrections and stuff, as you'll know, you effectively, you only really want to correct the car once or twice through a side. You don't want to constantly be full lock back over the up and then back and then over that and then that way and then that way again. You kind of want to let the car do its thing and carry the speed through smoothly through the corner. That's where the pace is.
Especially with these tires, again, they're not ideal.
You love these tires.
I really love these tires. They're fantastic. It's just when I first jumped in to try the iRacing Rallycross, it was so foreign to what I expected watching World Rallycross because that's what I was more familiar with. But once you get used to them, I guess you get used to them. It's just a little bit more different than I guess you'd expect. So still only Howell, the only car to Joker inside of your top 5, at least for the time being. Behind Wegner, they have all Jokered now. But the gap has grown to your race leader as Keenan Kusen has been unable to close back up and latch onto the front 2 cars. So really the question is for Ziegler, when does he feel that he has enough of a gap behind to be able to take the Joker and then start putting the pressure onto Lasky in front.
I've got to say, if I'm Keenan Kusin, I'm kind of thinking about taking the Joker pretty soon if I'm obviously trying to go for finishing third in this race. Point being is that if you go for the Joker now, it's more about trying to get out ahead of Andrew Howell. That's the important bit there for Keenan Kusin. And so I would kind of want to take it and then try and carry that overspeed and get back through and then retake over what will be what will be fourth position at that point, but potentially third position towards the end of the race. You've got to think about it as, again, running wide through the hairpin. Not too bad. Look, I had a really decent exit there. But yeah, I want to take it now.
Okay, good. I was hoping we'd get this replay. It's not actually for Nathan Brown that we need to take a look at. It's for one of our championship protagonists, Istvan Tits. Yes, this is dramatic, don't get me wrong, but this is not where we're going to add one to our flip counter. And this is not a traditional flip either, because...
Whoa!
Yeah, you see what happens. He hits the ghost of whoever was stricken there in the middle of the road. Renee Wegner, I believe it was, and ends up on his lid.
It says 5.75 on there. I think that was a 1.5. But 10 out of 10 for execution. So, each their own on that one. There's a multiplier that we need to start throwing into this. We're certainly hitting the, there you go, 6.25. We're certainly heading into the bigger numbers. The real question, who's going to flip more, RX2 or RX1?
There's fewer drivers in RX1, so they have a advantage there. I will say, that's a prime sponsorship opportunity. You know what I mean? Add one to insert sponsor gear, flip counter. I'm helping Josh Edmondson as we go. Howell, Kusin, now in front of Winkler, who I believe has just taken to the Joker. Kusin did Joker like you were maybe expecting. Still waiting for Lasky or Ziegler, though, to come down and take their longer lap penalty. They'll have 2 to go this time by.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how much is lost in that Joker. It does seem as though it's close to around about 3.5 seconds. There was 2.5 or 2.2 between Kusin and Howell before they went through, and it looks like it was about 1.5. Obviously switching back over, so it's almost closer to 4. It's in that sort of 3 to 4 second margin, which obviously depends on how much you nail the Joker lap coming through there, but that seems to be roughly how much you lose. At least if you're doing it in the middle of the race, you actually get to carry that speed back through.
Yeah, and that's why I don't have the Joker time written down somewhere, if I remember.
Oh, is that what it is?
Totally, because I would never not have it written. It's probably in one of my other...
Is that what it is?
Like you, Lewis, I have a lot of documents that I prepare, but unlike you, I'm not very organized in keeping them in all one single spreadsheet, so it's all over the place, you know?
No, mine are much more over the place. I only send the ones that are actually
okay, got it. I was very impressed with the small book that Lewis McLean has put together for ESLR1. It does not compare to the big book he put together that impressed Martin Haven. Now, Ziegler has elected not to Joker as we come onto the final lap of the race. He'll have to do it coming to the flag, but Lasky doesn't want to wait. He's to the inside.
Ooh, that was a one big send from Lasky straight down the inside. But of course, wisely, Ziegler's not going to fight you. As much as it'd be for the banter, there's just no point.
I mean, he really did it. There was a bit of contact there for a moment, wasn't there? Lent on.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. That's Rallycross, yeah. Paul Smith, bless him, we had a lot of arguments about how much contact you could have during Rallycross, during IRX. It's been relatively clean overall for RX2, and Kane Lasky's been maybe the recipient of some of the carnage in heat number 1. He advanced onto the feature and he'll grab his 3rd victory in RX2 for 2023, coming out on top in our trip to the Spanish coast. Behind him, it's going to be Jared Ziegler that grabs 2nd. Andrew Howell will plump himself onto the final step of the podium, while Keenan Kusin grabs 4th, Sean Winkler 5th at the end of the day. 1 race and 1 session in the books, and now of course we get to do it all over again, but with open setups and with RX1 competition. But before that, here's a look at the results with Kane Lasky 4.5 seconds clear at the line. Jared Ziegler taking to the Joker on that final lap of the race, not really putting up a fight as Lasky sailed on through. Andrew Howell jokered early and bided his time to be able to grab the final step on the podium, while Keenan Kusin will be delighted to back up the momentum from last week in 4th. Sean Winkler rounds out the top 5. Ollie Honker, Robbie Kirtley, Tom Grady, and then Sebastian Broberg all were in a bit of a squabble at one point or another, while Nathan Brown rounds out our top 10. Behind him, Renee Wegner and Istvan Tits, the only 2 non-finishers in the RX2 main event. Well, that is the first of the sessions over, and of course we'll give it a few moments and hope to get words from Lasky, Ziegler, or Howell before we move our way on over. But Lewis, Barcelona, I maybe was putting a lot of negative things in the air before we went live about. Yeah, just a few. It wasn't too bad.
No, you were listing the negatives that I tend to put when it comes to racing this track, just the normal track. Absolutely despise this place. But generally speaking, I quite enjoyed that. So we'll have to wait and see if RX1 kind of matches that level. We'll see.
So the problem is, it's been the case in like IRX All-Stars, even sometimes the off-road All-Stars, especially the case in the Porsche Esports All-Stars, where the support act, if you will, sometimes is more entertaining than the main event. And that sometimes happens to be the case when you have a driver like Jacob Rafals that's won, 5 races in 6 rounds so far, but that, I guess, is what we've got coming up next. Don't think we're going to get the chance, unfortunately, to talk with any of the drivers. We've given them a couple of moments' time, and we've got to make our way over to RX1. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in Barcelona on Racecraft TV in a few moments' time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, welcome back to Barcelona. We're ready to go for RX1 in 2023 Racecraft Rallycross competition. RX2 always knows how to set the mood, and now we let things loose with open setup competition and some of the finest dirt slingers here on iRacing. My name is Arjuna Kankipati alongside with Lewis McLeod. Lewis, it's been an interesting event so far, but now, of course, we focus up on what's been an interesting championship tussle as everyone tries to stop the man or the kid, I guess, that won 6 races in 10 rounds last year. That does not mean he competed in 10 rounds of the championship. He's already racked up 5 wins in 6 so far. Josh Fox is trying to keep him honest, but there's only so much that the Williams esports duo of Fox and Leskinen can do.
Yeah, he's pretty quick, that Rafos kid, isn't he? Absolutely rapid behind the wheel of a rallycross car, and just showing exactly how it can be done. But not only the pace, it's the consistency. Sometimes the mentality's not there. Sometimes, you know, some silly moves and stuff. But if you're away from everyone, I mean, who cares about silly moves? You're faster, everyone. Just go for it.
One thing that I'll point out, since we have a slightly smaller field here for these RX1 drivers, is the fact that, again, it's all about building up points. We're going to have 17 that look to enter tonight. 12 will make it through to the feature. You get points in qualifying, you get points in the heat, and you get points in the feature as well. So even if you're not fighting for a championship, if you're fighting for second, you're fighting for 4th, 5th, whatever it may be, it's all about making sure you're just racking up positions where you can, I guess.
Yeah, certainly so. Again, yeah, not everyone's going for the title, and that's absolutely fine. If this is a circuit which flows you, it's kind of one of those things with rallycross that you don't typically, well, you know, I mean, you still see in other forms of motorsport and stuff, but you really see it in rallycross. If this is a circuit which goes with your flow and you can find the speed around it, you need to take advantage of that. I mean, that's obvious. That's surely, yeah, it's racing 101, but it seems to be more pertinent in rallycross than it is, or at least what I've found it in most other sports. Right.
So here's a look at the real-world rallycross layout at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. The only difference here on iRacing is we move the start-finish line from where it usually is just after the start to now just after what is turn 10 on our track map, just after the Joker section. It's 60% tarmac and 40% dirt. And again, like we mentioned earlier, the fact that you've got the lack of track resets, the dirt's not going to be reset as we work our way through the course of the sessions, mean that the Subaru STIs will get stronger as we work our way through the day. There are a handful of Ford Fiestas going out there for qualifying right now to set the grid for 2 5-lap features where 3 drivers advance directly to the feature. We send the rest, so 5-lap LCQs where, again, 3 advance from each to make up the back end of the 12-car feature. But just 6 incident points allowed for this one, Lewis. They got to be a little bit more judicious with their contact.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know, when you're racing in the high car. You want them to be tidy, although to be fair, yes, we had some pretty interesting crashes, including a few rolls. What did we get up to 6.25 on the old?
I think that's what we got to.
Yeah, they should be cleaner in this, but you know, I will say RX2 was relatively clean compared to, you know, how many drivers, etc. It was a lot cleaner than I was expecting. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. Lewis, have you ever heard of Cal Freezy?
Heard of, yes.
Okay, have you heard his voice?
No.
Okay, because apparently, it's very random. Yesterday during the iRacing 12 Hours of Sebring, we were using Twitter to try and stay in contact with people watching, right? And someone apparently said I sounded like Cal Freezy. I still haven't had a chance to go listen to this FIFA YouTuber, but apparently I'm a FIFA YouTuber now.
Oh yeah, no, see that's where I know from the entire discussion from the other day. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I was like, yeah, no, I know this now. I just don't know where from. Oh, yeah, no idea, mate. I know. To be fair, I do know of the guy, and I have heard him in completely different videos, and so I don't think you sound. Do you know what I think you sound like?
Who?
Oh, Gina.
There we go. Now, we saw a couple of drivers taking to the Joker to set up for the next laps. I believe you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do some of the other games that you can play here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, which include winding your way through the grandstands through the final sector. But we'll skip over that one. It's not Jacob Rafos, or Jakob Rafos, as I guess we should call him, that is currently on pole position, and it's by some margin that currently Josh Fox sits on top.
Yeah, it is tidy there, but it's kind of one of those things that, you know, when you got a few laps in qualifying, it might take you a few just to build that rhythm. I mean, I was going to say it's really hard to get yourself just straight into it, but then, you know, these are like some of the absolute best. So, you know, I'll shut my mouth on that one. They're pretty good, this group.
Here comes Garrett Mains to the line that does the trick of sliding his way onto the tarmac after he crosses the start-finish line. That's going to get him up to 4th in front of Yoni Palaneva. So that's good enough for 2nd in heat number 2 on the outside of the front row. Josh Fox back towards the line. 39.717 has crunched the inside wall already once and has now lodged himself inside of a tire wall.
That was a solid F, if ever I've seen it. A couple of practice starts and such being done, making sure that you're finding that bite point, etc. As well, making sure that you're getting off that line perfectly. It's going to be very important. It's one thing about Rallycross, those race starts are critical.
This is fortunately one of those tracks where you start on the tarmac, so everyone basically has an equal starting spot. We always point back to Atlanta Short, where you wanted to start in third because you were guaranteed to be in the lead of the race going into the braking zone for the first corner.
Sounds perfect and zero issues whatsoever.
I know. So
that's what I love. I love having a start position where it's not about like qualifying the best. It's about some other rubbish. It's why I've actually got problems in places like Interlagos.
So it's why. Okay, so technically you'd want to qualify 5th, which would give you 3rd for your heat race, and then you'd actually want to finish 2nd so that you'd get 3rd in the feature. That would be the optimal starting.
That is terrible.
I know, right? If you really want to optimize things, that is what a consultant would do. This is our iRacing weather conditions, partly cloudy, pretty good conditions to go racing if we're being completely honest. Garrett Maines back across the line. Did improve, but it didn't count, so he'll start in 4th. He'll finish 4th in qualifying, start 2nd in heat number 2. 2 heats, 3 spots in the feature for each of them. Josh Fox and Jakob Rafos on the front row, the championship rivals, getting ready to do battle once more. Last time they did battle like this, they both had to go through the LCQs. Yoni Palaneva, Josh Clogg, 3rd and 4th position, with Palacio and Laril behind them. It's going to be Toby Ward, and then Kim Henry Björklund for Santeri Heiskanen rounds out the 9 cars getting ready to do battle. Yes, the only reason that Jakob Rafos hasn't won every race this season, Lewis, is because he had to go through the LCQs once and he got absolutely turfed in that.
Yeah, I mean, you do not want to go anywhere near the LCQs. That is obvious. Again, it sounds obvious. It is obvious, but it is very true. Avoid them like the plague.
We need to get Luke Crane in here to just say, last chance qualifier for us.
Just record a clip, mate. Just record a clip. Just get it set.
Okay, so you just don't want him here is what I'm hearing.
Well, there's a race about to start, yeah?
Ready to go for RX1 in Barcelona. Fox and Rafos on the front row. Who gets the best launch into the braking zone? It's a good start from the front row. Already Palacio checked up and goes up and over, but Fox and Rafos side by side. Williams Esports and the next level racing cars will do battle, but Fox slides wide and Rafos up the inside grabs the lead.
Yeah, very punchy there. Rafos just making it stick, going through the third. Core 3 wide, that was a big hit. That was always going to end in drama.
Well, I think
my goodness.
We're now guaranteed to get Jakob Rafos and Josh Fox on through. Yeah, that's a 0 out of 10 race start if I've ever seen one.
That was terrible.
They didn't even get back onto the regular racing surface before. Who was it? Marcos Palacio went up and over in the Team Watson racing car as Josh Fox got very close to the number 13 that leads.
Yeah, there seems to be like this thing of like, yeah, you're in second and you really want to go for the race lead, but Fox will know that he doesn't need to. So there's a little bit of contact with the wall there on the left-hand side. Big sense that, I mean, it's just a mess, and it gets worse somehow.
I'm just trying not to laugh. I mean, yeah, that's the only Palaneva that got worse. And okay, there was a puff of smoke, but I think fortunately no one got collected as they worked their way through the start-finish gantry. If we can get a replay of the start itself, I'm very curious to see how Palacio is still running, because he should be out.
I mean, again, we certainly need a roll added to the roll count.
I thought we got one.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. It's just, let's just have a look.
Oh, so it was the Palaneva car that I think just comes across. Yeah, so we did get the one added to the flip counter. Yeah, somehow he lands on all 4 wheels as well, so 10 out of 10 on that.
Technically, because he flipped up and then came back down the same side, does that actually count as a flip? Because he didn't roll over completely. It was like 180 and then back. So, you know,
these are technicalities that we were not prepared for.
It counts. I'll take it.
Josh Fox has taken to the Joker. Jakob Rafos has not, and so in that Nitro Circus Sim Magic car, as he slides back onto the tarmac. But there's the desk there, Lewis. Are you scared?
He's very serious.
He's also like looking up at the monitor. It seems like, you know.
I mean, to be fair, I've said this before. I had this race at Silverstone once where I was I'm not really paying attention. And I almost drifted off to sleep. Bearing in mind, this is open wheels, like basically like Formula 3 cars. We're in a big train, but we're doing the same thing over and over again. It almost fell asleep. Kind of looks a little bit like that. So yeah, maybe he's just bored.
He's definitely not in danger of going to sleep.
Surely he can only see like 45% of what's actually going on because he's blocked mostly by his eyelid. I don't know. That's madness. Mad respect.
Absolutely. Rafos with the Joker emerges in front of Fox, but it's still close between the two of them. Surely they're not going to squabble over what is effectively starting position in the feature, but Fox is going to put the pressure on. I think Fox is going to be a little bit frustrated that on the start of the race he slid wide by through his own volition, through all the fault of his own.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, the gaps to those behind, like, you kind of think, oh, maybe Fox will keep Rafos under pressure and maybe try and make a mistake. Everyone behind, they are miles behind. They're like 6-7 seconds and haven't taken the Joker yet, which adds an extra like 3 onto it. Those two are miles clear.
It did help that they all got checked up with one another and stumbled over one another. But yeah, these are the 2 championship leaders, and there's a reason why. Ooh. Look how close that they run. Fox definitely was a little bit closer to the wall than he expected. Tags it, able to hold on. Rafos will fly over the jump, though, and gets ready to fight his way back to the feature and looking for yet another victory this season. A sigh of relief and now finally actually some visibility through the eyes as Josh Fox crosses the line behind. It is going to be Josh Clogg that grabs the final of the 3 transfer spots with a couple of seconds buffer to Santeri Heiskanen, Marcos Palacio, and then Toby Ward will be behind, as that was Kim-Andre Bjorklund, who seems to be the only one that's going to be classified as a DNF.
Yeah. To be fair, I am kind of surprised it was just 1 DNF after all that, because there was a cheeky bit of drama in our first race.
Just a cheeky bit. Only 1-4. That was Toby Ward. He's 6th. Everyone else in the Subaru with, again, 3 advancing, the rest having a second bite at the cherry coming through the LCQ. King Carrot in our Racecraft TV YouTube chat saying Rafos with the Undertaker crossplay. I think the Undertaker actually has even less visibility than that, to be fair.
I mean, either way, if there is one person in sim racing that I am no longer going to mess with, Rafos, bang, straight at the top of the list.
So shots fired. Lewis McLeod was going to mess with Jakob Rafos before he saw the webcam. It's Jarno Leskinen, though, one of the youngest podium winners in iRacing World Championship history at the front of Heat 2. He's got Garrett Mains alongside with Christian Lindo, Josh Edmondson, Yuka Pakala, and Brian Sawyer through the front 3 rows. Behind them, Rennie Sotens, Russell Peterson, and not Evan McFarlane, who competed in RX2. It means that we're going to have a couple of minutes to hold here before we go racing. Already, in fact, the wheels are spinning up and the drivers seem focused on the starting gantry for the start of heat number 2. Leskinen with a great launch, but Mains immediately under fire. 4 wide, it was always going to end in bumper cars. Brian Sawyer and Rennie Sotens got the best of it as they scramble their way on through. Garrett Mains down to 5th position.
Yeah, just a bit of side-by-side, and Edmondson was the one that bit the bullet, unfortunately, and went out of here, all taking to that jump. But it seems to be tidier in this race, at least in this middle section, by what we just saw in the previous one. So at least that's a win. That's a big move, though.
It's an important move as well, as now there's going to be a block attempted by Sotens. He'll hang the rear end out, but Garrett Mains, who gave him the shove, will now escort his way on forward. It's Christian Lindo that slid his way forward to second. Remember, 7 are racing, 3 advance directly to the feature. So Mains, Sotens, and Lindo really those to focus on for now.
Yeah, as like I said, they're going to try and check out kind of what we saw in the previous race. Leskinen at the moment with the advantage again. We're going to delay those coming down the Jokers right now. They're all a lot tighter. Unlike in the previous race where the top 2 literally couldn't make a mistake. Nice green screen, bro. But in this one, you seriously cannot make a mistake. In the previous one, yeah, I mean, the top 2, they could have made a little bit of one. Now that 10 seconds to play with. In this, much, much less so. I like the commitment there, although my big disappointment is that you've not set up a second computer with a camera looking backward, and so that you can actually see what's out of the, because it's just in a garage.
So you want the next level commitment from these drivers?
Yeah.
Not bad, though. He fits in the seat, which is quite nice.
I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
Ooh, you're giving it quite low.
4 out of 10. It actually is the correct livery because I can see the Williams in the background. So no, we'll go with 5. We'll go with 5.
Now that is a screenshot from iRacing right there. You can tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. no.
So you're giving it a 5, you said?
No, actually, no, because Javi Guerrero, obviously, you know.
Oh yes, you want your shirt to be.
Yeah, no, as much as I have a Williams shirt, it's not the same as the ones they have, so I would like one of those, please.
Gotcha.
So for 4.
Even English is the other one that I guess you can appeal to.
Yeah, maybe even a cover. I know some people that are going for the job.
Oh, true. We do have Garrett Main's cam, by the way, which is always great. We get the POV perspective. We get to cosplay as Garrett Mains. We get the foot cam, so we get to upload some content to the OnlyFans channel, and then we get to look at Garrett Mains himself. We take to the Joker.
That's tasty. Now, can you not? Is that not annoying? Driving with it's not the camera on the head that would be the big annoyance. It's the cable.
Yes, no, that's the problem. So as someone who's actually done recordings from perspectives like this,
is that what goes on your account?
Yes, no, I've got some IndyCar racing on my channel. I got some decent content there, Lewis, including fighting with Jimmy Broadbent in an LMP1 car back in the day. Back in the day when I used to actually drive a car. It is very annoying having the cable. That is the worst thing, because you need it to have enough battery to keep going.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, no, never heard of that guy. But
never heard of that guy. Well, no. Apparently so many people have heard of him that they're now trying to cosplay as Jimmy on Discord. Did you see that on Twitter?
No.
There's someone actually pretending to be Jimmy Broadbent. So if you have a message from Jimmy Broadbent, just make sure it's from a username that you cannot read because it's upside down and cannot type, because that's the account that's Jimmy Broadbent.
Yeah, that is true. And if you ever want to team up, I teamed up with him in LMP once and bid the car. We won't talk about that, that's fine. I didn't run out of fuel in that one.
It's okay, I've been in the car with you, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Twice. I know, you used all the fast repairs.
I know. I mean, the greatest team of all, including the greatest team name of all. Williams Esports, though, now have 2 that have advanced on through to the feature. Leskinen will win in Heat 2, but Lindo and Mains fighting all the way to the very end. Second and third, of course, guaranteed spots in the feature. It's behind where it's drivers going to the LCQs. Sawyer, Sotens, Peterson, and Edmondson amongst those that have one more chance to work their way on forward. And so with that said, 6 drivers can watch on for the next 10 laps or so as we throw them all out onto track. Here's a look at the results with Brian Sawyer just missing out on one of those transfer spots. And in fact, with just 17 entering the ring today, just 1 last chance qualifier, and that means 11 will enter and 6 will advance. This may be the most crazy and physical of them all. Leskinen and Lindo will not be at the front. It's going to be Heiskanen and Sawyer that will be at the very front of your last chance qualifier grid. They'll have Marcos Palacio and Rene Sotens behind. Toby Ward and Russell Peterson line up on row 3. Yoni Palaneva and Josh Edmondson start 7th and 8th, with Robbie Larill inside of Jukka Pakula, before Kim Andre Bjorklund will be the final car that lines up on the grid. LCQs are always more physical, and now we're maybe in for double the chaos and the carnage as we just wait up for the final couple of cars to focus their attention to the lights for one final opportunity, with 6 spots in the feature on the line. Away we go. Good start from the front row, who are lockstep. It is going to be Brian Sawyer and Heiskanen that challenge each other on towards the dirt. Can the Fiesta of Sawyer scramble on forward? No, tucking back into line behind Heiskanen. A couple of 3-wide moments behind, but no major dramas initially at the start.
Yeah, it was Sotens gone out a little bit too deep and has dropped back a few positions. But again, like you say, nothing too dramatic actually. Weirdly enough, despite being the last chance qualifier, it is the cleanest start we've seen. So congrats. But you know, it's crazy stuff.
You don't believe in the commentator's curse, so
okay.
Yes, it's only going to get more crazy from here.
Why I don't believe in it.
Because it doesn't exist?
Exactly, you're learning.
I thought you were going to say because just drivers are bad.
Drivers are bad. Anyone who's listening going, the commentator's curse doesn't exist. It doesn't. The only thing that exists is bad luck and bad driving.
That is true.
And I ain't responsible for either.
Heiskanen and Sawyer at the front, working their way over the jump to complete what will be technically lap number 1. Remember, we start halfway through the lap, and so we cannot take to the Joker until we've crossed the start-finish line to complete the opening, or start, I guess, the opening lap. Peterson on board sees Larill off to the Joker, and now with the head of Steam will watch from behind. Larill not close enough.
No, like I say, I think it's about 3 seconds, the the difference, maybe even slightly more than that you lose going down the joke. Obviously, everyone's got to take it, so it's plus minus and even by the end of the race. This is, I just saw the reel, by the way, just had a bit of a spin on the It's a classic banter. This being the battle for the race lead, but if you're Sawyer, surely you're not really going for it. There's already been drama behind. What, you need to be in the top 6?
Yes.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
The way it will work is the winner of this last chance qualifier lines up in 6th, 2nd, 7th, 3rd, 8th, etc., etc. So you're fighting for starting spots, I guess. We'll see how willing they are to fight. Palacio, the only one to have taken the Joker inside of the top 6 so far, with, I think, Laril and Soten's basically done and dusted in terms of contention, you have to think, at this point in time. It's a bit of a train starting to build up behind the boosted Motorsports Fiesta.
Yeah, certainly so. Like you say, I mean, track position, fairly important, but it's more, I mean, not just about like positions as to like how far up the grid you start. It's more about like, the side that you want to start. I'd always say for around here, I don't know about you, I almost want to start on the outside for T1. So you could send it in quite deep on the brakes and hook. But if you're on the inside, you generally get squeezed into that wall, and then you add to the flip count, which we've not had added to for a while. So if any of these drivers are listening, get to it.
Disappointed, yeah. Brian Sawyer is going to take to the Joker and cycle out behind Palaneva. He did try just to maybe see if he could get in front of Heiskanen. Not going to necessarily work out, as he almost got some contact with a fellow Team Watson racing car. Palacio very aggressive on the handbrake to rotate that car around. Penultimate lap of the race. Expect at the very least Heiskanen to take down to the Joker this time by, but who else will follow?
Yeah, obviously those behind, well, those that aren't going to Joker, like sometimes you have that little fear. You look up in the mirror on a circuit like this because you think, are they going to Joker behind me? Because if they do, I am in the pathway. Thankfully, no dramas like that today so far.
Sawyer got Heiskanen, didn't he? Palaneva, the only one yet to Joker, and it is the 15, the Fiesta, in front of that Subaru.
Yeah, certainly so, which, I mean, Sawyer was running in second earlier. Oh, see ya.
More issues for Heiskanen, so he drops down the running order after leading for the majority of this one and only LCQ. We'll see Yoni Palaneva take down to the Joker and see where he cycles out in terms of starting position for the feature. But in terms of 6 drivers that advance, the first of them will likely be Brian Sawyer in the rush to the line. Palaneva is not going to get in front of Palacio. Heiskanen 4th, Ward 5th in front of Edmondson, who grabs a final spot in the feature. Behind them, Peterson, Bjorklund, Laril, and Soten's done for today. Grab a look at the results as the cars scramble their way across the line. Brian Sawyer in the Fiesta is victorious, but behind him, a sea of Subarus just broken up by Toby Ward. Palacio, Palaneva, Heiskanen, Ward, and Edmondson, those confirmed to be lining up 6th through 12th in the feature. The rest will be watching on here on the Spanish coast. Nico Pakula and, of course, Evan McFarlane, classified technically is McFarlane. So 10 more laps to go, and of course, a couple of drivers have been waiting since their heat races to get back out onto track, Lewis, and we'll have seen what befell the rest of the drivers with the track evolution in that last chance qualifier.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, it's constantly changing and such. And sometimes if you've gone through like that first heat and then you've not been on the track for a while, it can be a wildly different, state of play out there, and that's what kind of makes it. That's what makes Rallycross exciting. That's what actually makes Rallycross on iRacing. I'm actually going to talk some positive here.
Wow.
I know, it's weird for me, isn't it? Normally I'm just a negative Nancy, but it's fine. In this, it's what makes it actually quite exciting doing, because it's just constantly changing. When we get rain, right?
Wow.
Then it'll be more exciting. Come on, where is the wet weather?
I wonder if rain is actually going to come to Rallycross. My memory, when I think of rain and Rallycross, I think of America's Rallycross Mid-Ohio, where they had basically just decided to dig a track through like the infield of the keyhole section. And then it rained, like the heavens opened, and that was no longer a Rallycross surface, that was a slip and slide.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it?
Some say.
In real life, no, because that's just terrifying and exceptionally dangerous. And sim racing's banter, isn't it?
You know who won that round, if I remember off the top of my head? I think it was a certain Sage Karam.
Is it really?
It was.
I didn't know too much Rallycross, to be honest. Oh, really?
You know who also does some Rallycross? A certain Tommy Holman, who's competed in the iRacing Rallycross World Championships, won NRX at Glen Helen just this, was it past weekend or the weekend before? It's not just virtual to real crossovers with Moritz Lohner and company, Lewis. We've got some dirt ones as well.
You know who needs to do some Rallycross?
Who?
You and I, mate.
We do.
You need to jump on so I can take you out a few times.
Maybe we need to go and maybe we need to go and do RX2. That's where we can start off. Jakob Revos and Leskinen will be on the front though, with Josh Fox lining up behind his main championship rival. Christian Lindo, Josh Clark, Garrett Mains. Those are the 6 cars that advanced directly from the feature, while behind them, Brian Sawyer, Marcus Palacio, Joni Palanevas, Andrew Heiskanen, Toby Ward, and Josh Edmondson. The rest of your feature grid. RX1's for the big boys. RX2's where people like you and me can go and learn.
Well, you know, learn is a word, isn't it?
You have one intention, which is taking my wrists out.
Yeah, certainly so. Have you got direct drive?
I do, but I don't have motion.
Perfect. Anyway, race.
Here we go. One final time we focus towards the lights. The engines will roar, and we'll drop the hammer here at Barcelona. It's a good start from Rafos, but Fox may be looking inside of his teammate Leskinen. Mains gets the elbows out and will shove Christian Lindo out wide, but Rafos leads with the Williams Esports teammates juking it out behind him as they run themselves towards the final sector.
Yeah, Josh Edmondson going wide again at turn 1, trying to, the first corner of the race, trying to really go on the attack, and then got pitched around for all the effort. So unfortunately Edmondson dropped to the rear of the field and comfortably off the rear end of it. As a couple of switches here as we head back out onto the start of it. Yeah, it's very confusing.
It's very confusing. That was Garrett Mains getting back up in front of Brian Sawyer in the Ford Fiesta. Josh Fox got in front of Leskinen as they worked their way over the jump. And so now it is the Pennsylvania native that is up in second. Slide to the inside by Christian Lindo on Josh Cloggers behind. Garrett Mains lit up the rears as they got back onto the tarmac. Plenty of drama in the mid-pack.
Goodness me, one way, back the other, back the other, back the other, back the other. Suddenly just managing to catch it. That's very scary. But either way, it's not very scary for Rafos, who continues to lead and is looking for yet another win. The thing is, the more wins you take, the more hungry everyone gets to beat you, because it's about dethroning you then, isn't it?
But the question becomes, do you become less hungry the more wins that you get?
Well, no, because you get more hungry, don't you? Because it's one of these things like taking a load of wins. You kind of sit there and think, well, yeah, but you've taken a load of wins, so obviously you don't need another. But you're still hungry to get that extra win, because, I mean, it's another win. You need, it almost becomes a need where it's like you're expecting to take the wins.
I feel that's dependent on the driver and dependent on the athlete to be more specific.
Rafos is pretty hungry for the win.
Based on the death stare, yes, I tend to agree. Look at his cousin Christian Lindo, who is much less death starey.
Much more relaxed.
Yes.
Much more chilled.
Although getting ready to yoink the handbrake there.
Yeah, badly.
Yep. Oh, it's in front of him. I think that was Leskinen that made a bit of a mess of the what did we call it before we went live? The wibbly wobbly section?
Wibbly wobbly. Yeah, it's a wibbly wobbly bit.
The best track map that you and Lewis and myself have been known to disagree or argue about the fact that corner names are superior to corner numbers.
Yeah.
However, the best track map I've ever seen is for the Nordschleife, which has got a million corners, right? So instead of being the real names, it's just made up ones, including fun section, jumpy bit, scary bit.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, but again, the Nordschleife looks like a pig or a hog. The track map, if you take a look at it, you've got like ears and stuff at the top. You got a little bit of a snout. You got a little bit of a mouth as well. And now try unseeing that when you really click on it. Rafos is out of focus, so thankfully in the race he is focused. So at least there's that. Well, actually Subaru, but that's more of a Fiesta end. That's fine. Joke,
I Focus or Fiesta, Lewis, as someone that actually lives in a country where you've been able to buy both for many a year.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer?
I want?
Yeah.
Well,
Fiesta RS or Focus RS, if you had to pick one.
It depends. Probably would be a Focus RS, to be honest.
Really?
But
well,
I wouldn't go near either of them. But it's fine.
Oh, okay. What do you want?
a car that's significantly bigger.
Well, if you were getting a rally homologation special, what are you going to get? Are you going to get the GR Corolla, the GR Yaris?
Ooh,
No.
no, to be fair, the Yaris is pretty sick.
There we go. I got you interested.
But,
We need to see one of
no,
those rally crossing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I would never, if I was rally crossing in one of those, I would never feel safe because they are tiny.
Excuse me, have you seen those WRC cars? They are not tiny.
But realistically, the Yaris, like it is compared to like some of the other, it is kind of tiny.
It's not that tiny. I don't feel. Okay, maybe. Okay,
I think with all the body work and
dimensions.
stuff, I think with some of the body work and stuff, they're pretty small.
I feel like WRC cars are bigger than people think. That's the thing.
I think so. Yeah. No, I think they're bigger than the actual.
Yes, that's because
the road variant.
Especially these, the Puma. The Ford is now a Puma,
stonking.
isn't it? That is stonking big. That is
stonking. Also disappointing because I was like, oh, Ford Puma, perfect. Love a Ford, and I'm like looking at me like it's a Focus, mate.
It's disappointing. It's ugly in my opinion too. I like the Focus. I don't like the Puma. Again, we've gone very off topic. I just want to see a brand new Subaru STI with an engine that's not the same as the one that my dad bought in 2004.
Nice. I'm pretty happy with my car. Although I want to go rallycrossing in it. Yeah, I'd hope you are, mate.
I don't think I want to take my car rallycrossing either, although that might be fun.
Yours should be better at rallycrossing than mine.
I can turn off the traction control in mine. It beeps at me angrily when I do that. Yeah.
Mine's front-wheel drive, so.
Oh, okay. Mine says it's four-wheel drive, but I don't know what that really means. Rafos, Leskinen, Fox, Lindo, and Clog yet to Joker. Mains has, but he's found himself a little bit separated. Right on cue, Christian Lindo has, I think, taken to the Joker this time by, and so he is now the first inside of the top four to blink, and will try and put the pressure up on Leskinen in front. 4 seconds is that margin, so he's got some work to do. Just 2.5 odd laps to go.
Yeah, Fox is really trying to kind of like lean on the pressure, but obviously Rafos is just, each time he gets a little bit close, Rafos just checks out a little bit, drags back, checks out a little bit, and it's just about like timing when to go for the Joker. Fox can't, I mean, yeah, you can go for it. Now that there's a bit of a gap, you can go for it. When, like I said before, when you're right up behind them, you actually can't go for the Joker because you're right behind someone. If you go for the Joker, well, you're just going to clean them straight out. So you have to be a little bit more patient. Fox now has the opportunity to go for the Joker, and I would almost say sooner rather than later. Although now they're probably just going to do it on this lap. So,
yeah, I think we're probably going to see it this lap. One thing I've noticed, they've done a great job of at least putting the Duracell logo onto these Williams Esports cars, but they haven't carried the battery forward.
Yeah, I noticed that on a few of their cars when I was commentating over the weekend.
Oh, because probably ESL R1 they don't have the battery there, do they?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Oh, they both Joker.
Yeah. No, I was getting confused. I was like, wait, they're not going for it? Like, no, they are both.
Leskinen stayed out, so at least he made it somewhat interesting. Rafos with the overspeed up and underneath the young Williams Esports Charge, who will get close to the rear bumper, but on the final lap of the race, it's all but academic. Rafos leads once again.
Yeah, there's not going to be any switch here. Maybe the Williams drivers will switch over, but obviously Leskinen's got to come down the Joker anyway, as Fox will make his way through. Back up into second position is Fox, but obviously behind Rafos. Only a few more corners left to go, and I don't feel he's close enough for a big old send.
No, and even in rallycross terms, it's a contact sport, but you can't come back. You can't come from that far back. The Death Stare victorious once again. One blip earlier in the season, but it seems to already be forgotten for Jakob Rafos. Victorious here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya in yet another round of Racecraft Rallycross RX1. Behind them a Williams Esports double podium, but for Fox and Leskinen, slight frustration about the fact that they qualified faster, but Rafos still in the race, seems to be able to do it like no one else can.
So impressive, so impressive. I mean, it's just like I've said before, it's not just the speed, but it's I'd say I raced on and off. I raced Rafos, obviously just on online stuff years ago. Always had the speed, not the consistency. Now he has it, he just cannot stop winning.
I think we were talking about this before as well. Maybe didn't have the mentality. Now he seems to have that with a great team. Jakob Rafos brings the Nitro Circus Sim Magic car once again into victory lane. Josh Fox and Leskinen behind will take some solace in the double podium, but for Christian Lindo and Garrett Mains, top fives, they'll take that for sure. Clog, Sawyer, Palacio, Palaneva, and Ward. That's your top 10, while Heiskanen and Josh Edmondson round out the 12. Edmondson, the only DNF in this feature, finishing 8 laps down. We'll give it a few moments, and hopefully the drivers realize that Lewis and myself don't bite, and that we can actually talk to them after the RX1. I don't bite, at least that's what I tell them.
Yeah, no, I'm actually, I've been classified as a very scary individual in the world of sim racing, so, you know, each their own.
Oh, I mean, everyone knows that, surely.
Yeah. I hope so.
As soon as you win that second Simi award, everyone knows that you got to be careful with you.
You wait till I win a third, mate.
You'll be
intolerable.
Yes, no. Is insufferable or intolerable the right word?
I think they're both pretty bad.
I think insufferable is probably the right one.
Yeah.
Intolerable implies that there's some merit to what you'd be saying.
Are you saying that's not?
Well, we'll find out. Fans will have their say December this year. So we are just blabbing to try and give the drivers a couple more minutes to come and talk to us. While we wait, why don't we go and look at the schedule? Just to remind everyone where we're going. We do have a couple of weeks off coming up after our trip to what is the worst track in iRacing Rallycross, Lucas Oil.
Wow, you hate it, man.
So it has got the worst, it's the worst designed joker in the world.
I'm trying to remember which one it is.
I will send you some clips of what it is after this. Charlotte and Sonoma round us all on out. Sonoma, the rescheduled championship showdown as well. It's a driver's favorite, but it's one that's got a start section. Barcelona's treacherous, but the one at Sonoma is legitimately being dubbed the bowling alley.
Yeah, no, like I say, I've definitely done Charlotte, I've definitely done Sonoma, and not had a particularly good time. Is Lucas Oil the one with like just all of the 90-degree?
Yes.
Corner? Yeah.
So the Joker exit basically merges into
it's
the
terrible,
apex of one of those. Yes.
Poor.
So it is terrible. Let's head down though to our post-race interviews where Jakob Rafos is standing by after winning yet another round. Jakob, talk to us through that one. It all, I think, came to you in heat number 1, where on the start Josh Fox slid a little bit wide, and you took the lead from there.
Yeah, I tried to keep around the outside in turn 1 there, but yeah, it didn't work. And I thought maybe Josh would go wide there since he had a little bit more speed than me. So I just kept on the inside and kept braking early and took the lead.
In terms of this track in particular, where do you find the opportunities to pass? Because it did look like Josh was being able to stay close to you, but no opportunities to really launch a move.
Yeah, for sure. He's really, really fast here, as you can see. He was always on my rear bumper for sure, but yeah, something here is really hard to pass. There is not really any passing spots here.
Next up's Lucas Oil. I mean, I've been talking about how much I dislike that track. What do you think about it?
I think it's a good track, but I bet Garrett's going to win there for sure. If he can make the round, he's probably going to be a round winner there.
Really? Why do you think that?
Because he is really faster.
Okay, well, gauntlet being laid down here. Hopefully we see Garrett Mains. Congratulations on another win, Jakob, and we'll see you in 7 days' time.
Thanks, and I'd like to give a shout out to Sim Magic, Sim Racing IS, and Next Level Racing, and all that guys at Nitro Circus Racing Team.
Shout out to the sponsors, never forgotten. We move our way on over to another driver that's got plenty of sponsors to thank. Josh Fox joins us now from the Williams Esports camp. Josh, second place today. Talk us through what happened in your perspective on the start of heat number 1, where you slid just that little bit wide.
Yeah, unfortunately that made all the difference there, and you know, I should have realized a little bit, because you have a bigger run from the start, the turn before that, than you do taking a normal line, and I just didn't take that into account, and fortunately lost the lead there. But I have to say, you know, good racing there, the top 3 really, and to Jacob, I thought it was real even between us, and one mistake by either of us could have been the difference, and it was.
In qualifying, you had a great lap. I think it was, what, a 10th and a half, 2 tenths clear of the rest of the field. How well put together was that lap? Because I remember when this track came out, a lot of the drivers over some of the curbs were saying it was difficult to put laps together.
Yeah, I felt like it was almost all there was to get. I probably was a little wide, hair wide, a couple corners or entries, but I don't think there's much more in the lap than that. And yeah, happy to get the pole, happy to bring another fast car. Would be even happier to have taken the win today, but we'll try again next week.
Jakob said that he expects Garrett Maines to be very quick at Lucas Oil. Is that what you'd expect as well? Because he was already giving the checkered flag over to Garrett.
I mean, Garrett's really fast, of course, but I ran a race there with Garrett recently, and so I will just say that I feel pretty good about our chances for next week.
There we go. Love to hear it. So we'll see you in 7 days' time, Josh, and maybe you'll get back up to victory lane for the second time this season.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone at Racecraft TV who helps put on a great race like this was today. And real quick before I get out of here, just want to give a shout out to Williams Esports and everyone who makes it happen over there. Ben Q, Chill Blast, Fanatec, Playseat, Team Razor, Heisinkfeld Pedals, Gulf Oil, Duracell, and Riccar Automotive. And thanks again.
Hopefully he didn't forget any sponsors, but if he did, Jarno Leskinen, maybe we'll be able to remember them as we talk to a second Williams Esports car. Jarno, in terms of this race, you didn't really, you didn't look like you were trying to fight with your teammate too much in those closing stages after they closed up to you in the Joker.
Yeah, like on the start, we got a bit of a hit, and I think my car was a bit crashed, and yeah, I just tried to take different Joker if they would make a mistake on the last lap or something, but still, yeah.
It's such a difficult track to pass on. Where do you find that you can try and set up some opportunities to make the moves happen?
I think the hairpin is one of those places, or actually the only place. If you can get your car side to side, maybe you can overtake the next right dirt corner. That's almost only possible way.
Moving forward, we have Lucas Oil, then a couple of weeks off before we head to Charlotte and Sonoma. Which, in your opinion, is your favorite track of those three?
I think Charlotte, I have been in very good pace, and Sonoma. In Lucas Oil, yeah, I like all of those three. And in Lucas Oil, I haven't tried a race in 2.5 years maybe, but still pretty strong there, I think.
Well, we'll see you at Lucas Oil then in 7 days' time and see if Williams Esports can continue this momentum. Congratulations on another podium, Jarno.
Thank you.
So Jarno Leskinen from the Williams Esports team rounds out our post-race interviews, and that's a look at the night lights at the Lucas Oil Raceway at the Indianapolis Racing Park. April 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. You can join us for all the action. Lewis, it sounds like the drivers actually don't hate Lucas Oil as much as I do.
Yeah, my favorite track on the entire calendar. Just because you hate it. That's my big thing. Maybe even best track in the world. Who knows?
Even better than Bathurst?
It's definitely better than Nordschleifer. Anyway, the thing is, like I say, that they've put on some good racing today. I really enjoyed it, and we'll see if they can do so next round. But yeah, that Joker was atrocious.
That Joker is... You went and found it. Yeah, that Joker is really, really bad. Good thing is we're not allowed to take it on lap number 1, so hopefully it won't be as dramatic next time out. And then don't forget, 2 weeks off and then a run to the championship after that. Thanks for joining us once again here on Racecraft TV. It's been a lot of fun for our European swing, but we fly back across the pond to continue our championship adventure. Thank you to Esteban Ballo at Trancams22.com, and on behalf of the entire team at Racecraft TV, for Ryan Bauer behind the scenes, for Lewis McLeod alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati. We'll see you in 7 days' time, but it's Jakob Rafos victorious once again in RX1, while Kane Lasky grabs a third victory of the campaign for RX2. Championship favorites staking their claim on the Spanish coast.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.